We're not in the city.
Get to use your mic.
Do what?
Don't forget to use your microphone. And
10-4.
Like this microphone.
10-4.
You see that?
Down. Isn't it?
not the glasses.
Oh, there.
Saying,
You're good.
okay. Hello, 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 come on. A woman.
What about that?
Good evening. I'd like to call the Maysville Board of Commissioners to order. Thursday, January 13th, 2022. Our invocation will be with Reverend Burton.
The new year, pray your blessings upon the mayor. Wisdom, and to be upon them as with the challenges and opportunities that are provided for this meeting. That God, that you would guide us and make discussion and the decisions that are made, that may be honored to you. Betterment of the community.
Thank you, Reverend Burton. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Here.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell,
Yes, ma'am.
City Manager Wallingford,
Here.
City Attorney Pottle,
Here.
Controller Stanfield, HR Director Rose, Project Coordinator Horde,
Here.
Public Works Director Truesdale, Police Chief Muse, Fire Chief Doyle,
Here.
Planning and Zoning Administrator Larger,
Here.
Building Inspector Fawcett, Codes Officer Brooks, Tourism Director Holleran, Main Street Director Reese.
Thank you. Consent agenda. All items approved will be done with one undebatable motion and passed unanimously. Minutes from December 9th, 2021 regular meeting, and the department reports: engineering, utility, treasurer, finance, codes, Main Street, police department, fire department, public works, city clerk, and tourism.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Board appointments. Patricia Whitaker, Commission on Human Rights. The term expires 2023. And Steve Appleman, Board of Architectural Review, expiring in 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Oath of office.
When you get your mic.
I'll
You want
use
this one?
mine and you can give that to
Okay.
him. Father Andrew, do you, Reverend Andrew Young, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky as long as you a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of Maysville Board of Ethics according to law? And do you further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you, being a citizen of the state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within the state nor out of it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Welcome to our team, Father Andrew.
Thank you, Father.
Public announcements. I did have a message from Brian Helpenstein, who sent his regrets and that he will be back with an update for commissioners on the 27th. Any other public announcements? Mr. Henderson?
Towing business is what I'm concerned about here in Maysville. When I joined to tow, we had 2 tow companies was active. The rest of them was off the list. And I put my business together, spent quite a bit of money doing it. And had it inspected by the chief's officer Poe. And he approved it. Well, when I got on, there was 4 tow trucks. And we was running rotation. We was making some money, not a whole lot, but we was making money. And then it got down to about 4 months later that we got down to 1 tow out a week with the tow trucks, 1 tow. And when you get down that low, the insurance policy is $400 a month. You know, and keeping this watch on 24/7 is a burden too. And being around Maysville, you know, for no business, you know. Just like being on call 24/7, but never get nothing, you know, the mountain. I'm just trying to say, I mean, we got too many tow trucks running on rotation. And nobody's making any money. I mean, I don't need it.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
done?
no, you
Okay.
do, Tommy.
Yeah, just so we can chunk up.
Otherwise, it doesn't record.
Just kind of keep it. a little close so we can-
I've got, you know, my biggest concern when I started towing, I had complaints about crushing my cars that belonged to Audit. They was taking them in the impound lots, they was crushing. And I wasn't the only, there was banks, finance companies was losing on. I've been on a towing list now about 4 months, Chief, probably. I have collected 18 cars in 4 months and nobody's come after. Nobody. We've done this, you know, here's the regulations for Kentucky as far as running a tow yard the proper way. And this is the process through Kentucky Commonwealth, giving us legal information on these cars. We file that paper with Frankfurt. They send us back title information right here. It has the lien holder. It has the person who owns the vehicle. We send a certified letter out to each one of them parties. And we tell them we have their automobile. And then they make arrangements. They got 45 days to make arrangements to pick up their car. If not, then we can dispose of them the correct way. And we put them in auction and auction them off to the city of Maysville. Public. The public of the city of Maysville can come and get the cars out, buy them, get them out. And right now, Chief, on that title, it's saying only police departments. are capable of getting a title back on the cars. We're looking into it a little bit closer with the capital to see if towing companies can legally do it too, not being a police department, or government agent. And that's the point. I mean, we've been trying to do it the right way, because if I'm gonna fuss the, I might as well run the business, right? If not, I don't run it off. Let's show you some of the impound lots, and I don't mean this to try to slam people around, but I'm in competition with an impound lot is 12 miles out of town. And this is what it looks like. They take customers, citizens' vehicles out of city of Mason streets. They take them 12 miles into Tollsville. And they put them in an impound lot with barbed wire fence that you can walk into it anyway, get anything out of it you want. That wasn't the impound lot that I built in Mason. Mine, you can't enter it at any angle. It's secured tight. You'd have to tear the fence down, to get into the impound. Another thing, I'll tell you what desperate tow companies do when they don't get enough work. They start charging that for a street wreck. That's a street wreck here in the city streets.
I can see it.
Are you referring to, like, when you get called out by a police department, or just any wreck that you respond to?
I don't tow for no one else but Mason Police.
Okay, you don't do any private tows, okay,
No. At Automart, I'll do Automart's business.
like your
I
cars
don't-
and stuff?
The reason why I don't choose to work for the public, about the time I'd have to tow your vehicle on my truck, police department called me with a wreck in the street. And I don't have the manpower to handle it. So I had to choose either city or everyone, and I had to bring manpower. And right now, there's not enough money to even bring any manpower. Barely can pay the insurance and keep the business going. I mean, I'd be more glad to charge that, but I'm embarrassed to charge it. I mean, it's, here, I'll just give you all this stuff. Y'all can look at it. It's, I've copied it all for you. I don't mean to stomp on nobody's feet. I'm just trying to explain to y'all what the problem is. You know, and I'm gonna be going out of business soon because of lack of work, when I have done everything the correct way. No, oh, sorry, Tommy. I'm finished, folks, at the meeting. I'm done. I don't sit and argue with nobody. I just want, all right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Are these supposed to be behind privacy fence or something? For the city,
Yeah.
I know we are,
Yeah,
aren't we?
we are, yeah, we are,
But Tillsboro is different.
yes. You want to address it?
No, can I keep those materials? Because
Yes, sir.
I've got a file on them. So I can be ready to respond.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Just a little discussion here. When I left here the last time, why did they let these people back into town that didn't have yards here?
Go ahead, if you, I don't.
My understanding, they changed it and we had one tow company that was out of state.
Uh-huh.
And so at that point, it kind of opened the door. So how can you tell? somebody
Well,
that's-
so somebody changed that to
Yes.
placate him.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that opened the door for Tollsboro and everybody else.
And at that point, we didn't have that many people that we were having a shortage of tow
Yeah.
truck drivers. We have 5 right now.
Mhm.
And I can.
Yeah, 5 chief.
I wrote a letter to 4
So
of
we
them.
have B&J Towing, Nolan's, Bradford's,
Well, Bradford's has got 2.
no, there's more.
Is Bradford back on?
Yeah, Bradford's get back on.
Okay.
One maybe.
Well, she's not towing now?
No.
Okay, so it's just one.
Okay.
Okay.
And,
And does our policy say that you can designate, if you can't get it, that you could designate who you want to do it?
sure.
It does.
I mean, if there is a wreck, we always go to the person who's driving the vehicle, who would you like to tow your car? And they said, just like we had one today, who you want to tow your car? I don't care. And I get on the radio and I say, next on the list.
Okay,
So-
yeah, but I mean, if you called one guy, he can't do
Yeah,
it.
the
let's say
next.
the next one.
Next one. on the
Okay,
list.
he doesn't get to call
No.
No,
whoever, okay, all right.
And so it's ran really fair, and what I would say to Tommy is he has an option of, I can show him how we do it at the police department's on the computer. And it's maybe the tow business has been kind of low for the last month or so, but that there are 5 tow companies. Debate that a bit, he's been John on his part. It's just unfortunate that it's on.
November of 2021, I sent a letter to, at that time, we had four companies on our rotation, and there was a complaint about overcharging, and this, what was shown to you, that company wasn't on the rotation at the time. But in the letter that we sent to them, we reminded them that we have an ordinance that we regulate what they're allowed to charge in response to Maysville City Police request. And Matt, the city manager, through our ordinance sets what they can charge. And so we sent this to everybody. So I'll get another letter out to the 5th company, because they didn't.
Do they get do you get a copy of the bill they bill, or how do you know what they're billing?
Only if somebody tells you.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Only if there's a complaint, yeah, we don't, but anyway, at least 4 of the 5 companies and 4 that were 4 on our list in November 15th, and they know what they're allowed to charge, because they've got our rate sheet.
I noticed that invoice said indoor storage, and I just wonder if there was something special about that situation where they felt like they had to put it inside.
There's a difference in the price from outside the indoor storage. I don't know if there was a special reason. It would be indoors.
are they supposed to submit their charges to the city, or
There's no
Nothing.
requirement.
Now,
or how do you
again,
keep
those are
up
ju-
with it?
We don't, like, as Kelly said, or the chief, unless we get some kind of a complaint. Now, when it gets to a private tow, they can charge wherever they want, but they have to list their rate sheet. Is that right, chief?
And there's new KRS
Yeah.
that
There's
comes out.
a state statute that requires what they have to do on private
Right.
tows, but we, that's outside of
There's a
our.
possibility somebody can audit the books.
Yeah.
So that's the risk of that.
Wow.
Well, I mean, what would it take to get us to come back to, I mean, I don't want people here to starve while we're letting everybody else.
I don't, what do we do to regulate that stuff? What can
Well, I
we
think
do?
the
Make 'em
issue at
have a
hand
tow
would,
lot.
the issue at hand would be, what if chief gets down to only 1 or 2 tow companies? Then we're back again, having to redo the ordinance.
Well, with these kind of charges.
Have you had any trouble with what's going on right now? I mean,
No,
any issues
that's-
with?
That's the only complaint that I received, but 5 is about the most we've ever had on the rotation list. And so, I mean, sometimes it gets down to 4, and it'll get down, I think it was the last time we got down to 2.
2, yeah.
And so that's when I went and asked.
Yeah.
So if I started tow truck business,
I'm sorry.
if I would start a tow truck business, does somebody give me what the rates are when I come and fill out my occupational license?
Yes, ma'am.
So
By the city manager.
Yeah, but those rates that are on those sheets that
That's-
he gave us are way off.
way astronomical.
I mean,
Like I said, we don't know until somebody. complains.
Right.
yeah,
So-
you got $300 for a 2-mile tow. That's crazy.
Kelly,
That's
Kelly,
not- Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Are we allowed, is it permitted to give preference to businesses that are actually operated, set up in Maysville first? Or is that?
I think we could, but I think we'd have to tweak the ordinance to say, like, for instance, 4 of the 5 companies, I think, have yards in Maysville. And that one that he was referring to doesn't. I mean, we could change the ordinance to say that the only people allowed on the list are people with storage lots in Maysville.
Chief, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and Mullins is the one that's from Goldsboro. And even though he's 12 miles out, I don't think he's ever been been late. So, but I don't have any problem. Whatever you all want to do,
Yeah.
you just want it to be in Maysville, I'm good with that.
I think they ought to have storage lots in Maysville.
That's your all's call and whatever. you
I
want
was,
to do.
I was just opening the door for that.
Sure.
Sure.
Do you guys want me to put that as a discussion item for the next meeting and talk about it a little more, how we might want to, if there's any changes we might want to make?
I'll go ahead and take a look at the ordinance
Okay.
and do an amendment.
Okay.
And if y'all want to take it up next meeting.
Well, is there any way that you can sort of watch what they charge, or they send us a copy of what they charge? Or that's astronomical. I mean, really,
I know.
I
that
understand what he's saying.
Our rates right now that they're subject to is for a normal, uneventful removal of a vehicle, it's $125 per tow. So if they go 2 miles or 6 miles or whatever, it's $125.
Yeah.
If there's removal that requires extraordinary measures, then they can charge $150 per hour on top of that.
Mhm.
You know, if they got to clean up the road, if they got to do, extraordinary work.
All right. Well, thank you, Kelly, and thank you for looking into it so that we can take a closer look at it.
Okay.
Discussion on the commission room audio and video upgrades.
And in this corner, Sean.
Hi, guys. I'm Sean George. I own Corica Solutions around the corner. I feel as badly as I look, so I'm going to exit stage left here pretty soon. Matt and I have been talking for,
Yeah, you're good. Keep it over.
Matt and I have been talking for about a year on upgrading the audio video in this room. We've done a little bit. We've made things better in the audio realm, but it still isn't perfect, as we're all well aware. We've done audio video for a long time. If you see a church service anywhere in this area on Sunday online, we probably had our hands on it. We started looking at vendors to take care of this room. The room is 25 by 50. It's a challenge to cover with one camera. You're not going to do it with one camera. So Matt and I were talking about multiple cameras, and I really like that idea. We came down to the conclusion that there is no off-the-shelf solution. Nobody has a solution for a room of this size. It's either an auditorium or it's what they call a huddle room, which is kind of like the other little conference room next to Matt's office. So we had to go from the ground up, go from scratch. And what we did was we built a system that's currently running in my office right now that we would put in this room. I didn't buy all the hardware, but enough of it to prove proof of concept that it's going to function as we anticipate. What we anticipate is a camera in that corner and a camera in this corner that Lisa or whoever the moderator is can flip back and forth in the software and show one view or the other. When Tommy was up here talking, or I'm up here talking, you want to see this view, but the majority of the meetings, you probably want to see that view. Video is easy, really easy. It's the audio that gets you. If you put a microphone too close to a monitor or a speaker, rather, you get feedback, like you were talking earlier. If you put it too far away, if you space your microphones out too much, you don't get coverage. So that's the art right there, is the audio portion of it. We have Audio Technica as the brand. They're little, they call them chip mics. They look like a hockey puck. And we dot them along the conference room tables. So you don't all have these things. Okay, you don't have to speak into it. They're condenser mics, they're hot. So basically you can have 2 per table and they should pick up everything, including my voice as I'm standing here. We'll have a cage probably under, as I propose at least, probably under here, that will house all the equipment, the amplifiers and things like that. We'll drill some holes in the tables so we hide cables. We want this thing to be as aesthetically pleasing as possible. And then Lisa can handle the software. It's very easy to use. It streams right out to YouTube or Facebook Live or whatever you like. And it should be as hands-off as possible. One of the things we wanted to accomplish is that it was effective and efficient, but also as hands-off as possible. Lisa shouldn't have to jump through hoops, or whomever is sitting in that chair, jump through hoops to moderate this meeting online. And I think we've accomplished that. We have a great piece of software. It isn't cheap. None of this stuff's cheap, but it's very, very good. And I've been working with some audio and video engineers I used to work with in Nashville when I lived there. that are very, very good, that do some of the stuff for the studios in Nashville. And this is some of the equipment that they use, some of the equipment that they recommend. And sure enough, Lee and I have been playing with it most of the day today. And it's good. It's really good. The falling down point at that point isn't in this room. Once we get a platform that is solid and stable and sounds good and looks good, then the falling down point is the internet. And Matt and his team a couple of years ago upgraded the bandwidth here, so it should not be a problem. The third and final portion of that is the end user. And you're going to get complaints. I don't care how much money we throw at this, how much time and effort and blood and sweat and tears, you're going to get somebody that says, this sucks. Well, at some point, you have to deal with the end user on their couch, on their iPad, with inferior hardware, inferior internet connection, whatever. But rest assured, when we get done, if we get the job, what comes out of this building will be top notch. Now we just have to deal with and we all hear complaints about all sorts of stuff, you're not going to get rid of that. But by and large, I think it'd be a very, very nice addition to this room, a very good way of broadcasting meetings. Basically, what we're building is a TV studio. That's what it amounts to, an online TV studio. So I think
Whoa.
Sorry.
Don't get rid of your halls.
No, I thought my quote was in there. They're delicious, Kelly.
Duck, wait for duck.
I'm only on like 14 different kinds of medication, so but I'm okay to drive. My wife asks me all the time, are you sure you can drive? I have a little laundry list of hardware and services and things that we gave to Matt and his team. We've got 2 cameras, we've got all your microphones, we've got your amplifier, your software, we've got a replacement laptop that we can push all the streaming audio and video. We've got a new projector, a modern projector, and we have outfitted the huddle room with what's called an owl. It looks like an owl. It's a cylindrical camera with a fisheye lens on it that will direct itself to whomever's speaking, which is pretty slick. I wish they made them for larger rooms, but they don't. So that's about $1,000. That's easy. Set it in the middle of the room. It picks up everybody. It shows everybody. It does its thing. I tried to maybe get a couple of them for this room, but it's just too large. It's just the dynamics of this room isn't going to cut it. But I'll leave this with you as well. Matt has a copy of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not terribly expensive. I looked at systems anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000, and believe me, they make them. This one's pretty cheap, all in all.
Efficient.
It's not cheap. It's cost effective. And I think that's the crux of the deal. My job is to provide solutions to entities on a budget. And we all have a budget. So it shouldn't break the bank, but it should accomplish everything we're looking to accomplish. And I feel very, very confident that this will. I'm very, very happy with it.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of like YouTubes. What about Zoom? And then what about part of the time when we're sharing information with the public, it's somebody who's sharing it with us electronically, and then we're trying to zoom that out. So will this system address some of those issues that we've had in the past?
Anything, and I don't know the exact situation you're talking about necessarily, Mayor, but anything that can be streamed from a computer, like a Zoom meeting, a Skype meeting, Microsoft Teams, Facebook Live, YouTube, things like that, we can accomplish. The hardware would do that. The software would do that. The only caveat would be external comments, like Facebook Live. You could put comments out there as people are talking. Okay, well, you would see that in your feed. You wouldn't be able to hear it, of course. It's just text. But no, it is as far as I can determine at this point, it is all inclusive. I have not found a single thing that won't do.
Sean, let me play off of what the mayor was saying. So a couple months ago, we had a meeting where we had a presentation from somebody. And so Lisa is over here managing everything. And then there's a computer here, and they want to throw up their presentation on the board. Wasn't that it? Is that right? I think that's kind of what you were alluding to.
Well, and they were connecting to their staff.
Right. That was the
remotely.
problem, because I could turn the Zoom over to her. That was fine. But then they had somebody else who was trying to talk and it just, that didn't
You
work.
get into some weird situations that, I can't guarantee that every single scenario is accomplishable. There are some technical limitations, there's some personnel limitations, software limitations, things like that. But in the case of somebody wanting to put a presentation up on this board, basically what you would do is fire up that camera. You'd activate it and you'd be viewing the board just like everybody in this room would be viewing the board. Can you take it from streaming from this computer to streaming to another computer seamlessly? No, it doesn't work well. Especially in the middle of a meeting. In the middle of a meeting, you want to keep the meeting going. You don't want to be hampered by technical issues, and that's part of this, part of the crux of the deal too, is we want to make sure that it isn't so convoluted that now our meeting stops being a meeting and it's a technical venture.
Yeah. So basically, if you're doing a Zoom presentation and they want to share their screen, I would think it would be difficult for somebody to see on an iPad or a computer if they're just seeing from this camera.
Yes and no. These cameras are what are called PTZ cameras. They're point tilt zoom. So as we get into a scenario like that, and we have a presentation that's being broadcast up here, we just zoom the camera in.
Okay. All right.
You bet. The software does that as well.
Okay.
One of the reasons I picked the hardware that I picked for these kinds of scenarios, how do we accomplish this, but then in the next part of the meeting, accomplish that? And so it's a never changing landscape. And what we're dealing with today isn't necessarily what we'll deal with in 3 years.
Exactly.
We'll have different requirements. And so we wanted to try to build that out to the point that we're not going to go 18 months from now, go, oh, crud, we forgot about that, no fair. So yes, it's, I think it'd be very effective. And we'll train Lisa and probably a couple other people on software. And I mean, it's pointy clicky. It's piece of cake.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Chief, would you get something to spray on that microphone? I'm not kidding.
Feeling the love, I swear.
Kind of disinfecting or something.
Motion to approve fiscal year 2021 audit.
Would you like to go over fiscal year 2021 audit, please? All right.
Starting with page 1.
Baldwin CPAs performed our June 30th, 2021 audit. The audit committee met with the auditors about December 16th and reviewed all the report in detail. The report's about 70+ pages, so I'm just going to kind of give a quick overview. The CPA firm issued a clean opinion on our financial statements. The reports on internal control and compliance all had no instances of non-compliance or any kind of regulations that we did not follow. The governmental funds had revenues of $15,671,000, expenses of $13,300,000. So we had a positive increase in our fund balance of $2,371,000. So that's a really good year, but keep in mind, we had underestimated revenues because of the pandemic, and we did not do a lot of projects and other expenditures that we had budgeted because because of the unknown. So it was one of those years that's not our normal. On the utility fund, it did report a $673,000 loss, but that was a lot of non-cash accounting entries for depreciation and for the pension liability. Let's see. The city did invest about $2 million in capital projects. We do have a pension and OPEB liability, which is the health insurance liability of $29 million. That's an increase of about $2.5 million from the previous year. But overall, the city's in pretty good financial position. We monitor that from month to month, day to day, to make sure that we're doing everything in the best interest of the city. The full report will be put on our website after it's approved tonight, and we'll also be issuing that in the newspaper.
Thank you, Penny. Andrew, would you like to say any comments on behalf of the audit committee?
Yeah, the mayor and I serve on the audit committee, and we sat in with a meeting with Drew Ulmer, who is with Baldwin, and he gave his findings. He was able to answer all of our questions. The audit was clean. Maysville is in the black, and that's even for accounting any federal money that we got this year. So there was no smoke or mirrors involved in that. I'd like to give credit to the department heads, to our controller, to Matt Wallingford for an exceptionally clean audit. They go to great trouble to come up with a realistic budget, and they stick with it. And we're in far better position than other cities our size because of it. So my thanks, the city's thanks to the department heads for seeing this through.
Penny, can you explain to the board how we qualify as a low risk audit? I mean, are there certain redundancies in place, or?
It would be because we haven't had prior findings on our federal projects.
Okay,
There hasn't been any findings and recommendations or inconsistencies in previous year audits that makes you qualify for that.
okay.
I entertain a motion.
Well, if I may, real quick, Mayor, I just want to echo what Commissioner Wood said. Penny does a wonderful job wrangling in all of the department heads and holding their feet to the fire. But every department head has done a fantastic job watching over their line items and over their budget. And I tip my cap to what they've done. They've all done a phenomenal job.
Well, and the other piece of that is the documentation that you have to have for the auditors. And so also congratulations on everybody doing what they're supposed to do. So when there's an audit, there's no issues.
Good job.
Audit committees are not always fun to be on, and this one is a joy.
You volunteered.
I think I missed that meeting, actually.
Do we need a
Yeah, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
roll call, please?
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Motion for surplus police cruisers.
Mayor and Commissioners, these are the 3 cruisers that Chief Muse and the police department are trading in for their new cruisers. And it's my mistake. I should have had that on the last meeting. So we just need a motion to surplus those.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please?
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Motion to authorize city attorney to file suit for delinquent payroll taxes.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city attorney to file suit against various federal employees for failure to pay city payroll taxes.
I'll second that with discussion. So how long do they have to file?
Well,
For
okay,
payroll.
so we've been provided a list of various federal employees who, because they're federal workers, the employers don't withhold the city
Exactly.
payroll tax. And so they have, we have sent out letters and had pretty good response. So we're down to a handful, how many?
8.
8 people who who has either not responded to us or refused to pay.
How delinquent are they?
It's 2020
We're looking at 2020.
payroll taxes.
Well, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Yes.
I made the
You made it,
motion.
I'll
You
second it. Just vote.
Roll call, please?
Commissioner Brammer?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing application for federal land access program 22-01.
Resolution authorizing application for federal lands access program. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary to apply for a federal lands access program grant.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yeah,
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing the application for the Buffalo Trace Agency for Substance Abuse Policy Grant 22-02.
Resolution authorizing application for Buffalo Trace Agency for Substance Abuse Policy Grant. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute an application for a Buffalo Trace Agency for Substance Abuse Policy Grant.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay.
Is this about the cell phones? This is what this is about, is doing that? Okay, I have questions. When you take cell phones, does it require a search warrant to do those? Issued by a
Yes, ma'am.
judge?
Yes.
So how long does it take to get that?
So usually, this is a grant that we're applying for it's called the Gray Key. And we're applying with it with Lewis County, Mason County Sheriff, Commonwealth Attorney, and the Maysville Police Department. In the past, if we get a search warrant, take a phone, we have to send it to KSP, and it may take a year to get the results back. So you have somebody's phone for over a year. If we get it now, we can get it done that day. So it's going to be a huge resource for the Buffalo Trace area
Great.
if we get the grant.
When can you access or not access a cell phone?
So, usually any type of, cell phones are so prevalent now, they're
Right.
used in just about every type of crime you have. So if you can articulate it, go to the county attorney and he agrees that it meets the requirements and the judge signs it, then he'll give you a search warrant.
And do you ask them first to unlock their phones? Can you ask that?
You can get consent to search, but most generally the courts would prefer a search warrant.
So then if they refuse to unlock their phones,
Sure.
then you have to get a search warrant,
Yeah.
correct?
Usually I kind of recommend that they go ahead and get one anyway. It just
Have it
protect-
in
it
tow.
protects the agency.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes,
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing contract with HMB Professional Engineers Incorporated for Maysville Waterline Improvement Project 22-03.
Resolution authorizing contract with HMB Professional Engineers, Inc. for Maysville Waterline Improvement Project. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute a contract with HMB Professional Engineers, Inc. for professional engineering services for the Maysville Waterline Improvement Project for a total cost of $314,000.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
yes,
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing final change order for the Third Street 22-04.
Resolution not authorizing change order on Maysville Third Street water line. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to sign change order number 2 for the Maysville Third Street water line, approving the final adjusting quantities and authorizing payment in the amount of $75,250.14 upon execution of a signed document extending the warranty for 1 extra year upon substantial completion of the project.
So moved.
second,
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
yes,
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing 2022 Kentucky 911 Services Board Competitive Grant Application 22-05.
Resolution authorizing 2022 Kentucky 911 Services Board competitive grant application. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary to apply for the 2022 Kentucky 911 Services Board competitive grant.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yeah,
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing application for domain name 22-06.
Resolution authorizing application for domain name. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to apply for the domain name cityofmaysville.gov through .gov domain registration.
So moved.
Second for discussion. Are we having to buy this name?
Yes, Clay, you want to come up here and I believe this year it is waived, David. After that, we have to register. I think Clay can answer it. I think it's $125 a year.
Yes,
And know why we wanted to.
when we started having a discussion about the city's email service that we use and the name that's associated with that, oftentimes dealing with anything with the federal government or state governments, I have struggled personally having a .net email address. So the federal government can authorize any government agency to have a .gov domain name. So and the fee is $125 a year. It's not per user. It's just for the domain.
Okay.
For the domain name .gov. It should help when it comes to any federal communications or just communications in general. A lot of times spam filters won't filter .gov because they know it's a legit government entity.
So that means City Hall will change theirs also to .gov. Okay.
Looking at David, yes,
All right.
our website to cityofmaysville.gov and then email addresses as well.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Clay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
yeah,
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution awarding bid for Market Street brick replacement 22-07.
Resolution awarding Lower Market Street brick repair bid. Whereas the city of Maysville advertised for bids in accordance with plans and specifications as follows: A, Lower Market Street brick repair. B, advertised date December 15, 2021. C, bid opening December 29, 2021. Whereas the following bids were received: one, H&S Excavating, $62,800. Two, Wind Ridge Construction, $59,890. Three, Straight Edge Construction, $49,950. Whereas the city manager and the projects coordinator have recommended the acceptance of the third bid as the best bid. Now therefore be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky as follows. One, the bid of Straight Edge Construction in the sum of $49,950 for the subject contract described above is hereby accepted on behalf of the city of Maysville. Two, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute all contractual documents necessary or appropriate to effectuate acceptance of said bid to consummate the contract on behalf of the city of Maysville.
So moved.
Second for discussion. Dennis, how many of those Iowa City brick do we have left?
We have several of them left. There's probably,
I mean, like thousands of them or?
yes.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Yeah, we have several of them. So
Okay.
there's 5 or 6, maybe 10,000.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Got enough to do the job then?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
We're going to be replacing once they.
I know it, but I mean, yeah. All right.
so when was the last time this was repaired, David? Yeah, done. Have we ever done it?
With lower,
Uh-huh.
We did middle in 01, 02,
Yeah.
I think.
yeah, it was about 01 or
Oh,
02,
I think we
but I
did.
don't think lower would have been the early 90s. Yeah,
We did in 1994, me and Roger.
Sutton.
yeah, it'll look just like Sutton Street.
Sutton Street.
Lower Sutton, yeah.
So can we work on that now or we have to wait till spring?
as soon as the weather, where it's not freezing all the
Yeah.
time, they'll get started on it, and they're gonna maintain traffic. Not all the parking, they're gonna maintain traffic,
How long will it take to?
probably a couple of months.
That's not bad.
Brick by brick, just like road.
There's 22,000 bricks.
22,000.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810F, discussion which might lead to the appointment of an individual employee.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am.
What's up, guys? What's up? about your guys?
All right.
Where'd Penny go?
Penny. Penny.
Street came out, you call us, well, I don't know if it's between the street or not, you know, I hear you. Well, I have to do a lot of pumping up the house. If I'd have known. Read that, in there and go back, but it's all work. I mean, you know, and that's what I'm gonna say, if it works, it works. If it stops, it doesn't work. And there's a lot more you can say about some of these things. You know, the house we bought, we have to put out all this water. So we're on to the same style of shower and, you know, I didn't. I couldn't get into the house from the water lines. I barely got between four choices to put my right side gas line on. Because it had old ceilings in it and it was very bad. And they- half-inch line was for fine, that spot through. So it's like, and but I was smart when I did it. Because
Well, you already gave.
I did, so let me
yeah, you
quickly
have to.
address it.
Katie, he's had a vest and towel all week.
I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
yes.
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. City manager?
Yes, late this afternoon, prior to our meeting, I received a request from Limestone Cable Performance Broadband for a reference letter for the RFP that they're putting in for the broadband improvements. I have since found out that since we are issuers or issuers of the RFP, we cannot participate in that. So I know I had given you that information, but I found that out right after the meeting started. So I just wanted to let you all know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other thing to come before the commission? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cartmel,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
yes.
Commissioner McKay, Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you all.